Hello, hello, hello. So for this video, I wanted to actually this video and then maybe another video, we'll see. I wanted to briefly jump back into voting. Briefly jump back into voting because I don't know. I know that it's voting season. So there's just a couple of points that I wanted to bring out. This video will, I think, mainly be towards Black people or what I believe are the Israelites. Okay, so first things first, I want to say, because I think that I believe that when people like me who talk about we shouldn't vote, we shouldn't vote, like you don't want to vote in these systems. I don't believe that I've communicated or tried to share that I do understand why people vote. So I just kind of wanted to first off, I wanted to come out and just give honor to our elders, for Black people, give honor to our elders, and say that I really do. I want to give honor because, and give the flowers because, even with watching, this year, I've just been watching a lot of documentaries on the 60s, the 50s and all this other stuff. And so I do want to come out the gate saying that I am going to talk about voting, in a minute, but I want to first say, please don't think that I don't understand, well, I wasn't there, but the atrocities that people went through for the right to vote, okay? When I say we shouldn't vote, it's not because I want to be disrespectful to the past of the legacy of what people went through. Okay, it was horrible. It was really domestic terrorism. The literacy test, those voting poll tax, those silly grandfather voting laws, the murders, straight up, the harassments, the terrorism, and then even in the civil rights. I'm just going to tell this really quickly. I remember I went to this museum in Alabama. I forgot what it's called, but it's like the Black Museum, the Black History Museum. Anyways, the point is, I remember hearing about this story where for the Montgomery boycott, there was this woman who was 80 years old and she walked, I don't know how many miles, because they couldn't take the bus. So she's 80 years old and she walked, she just walked to work. She walked all these miles. And I remember hearing about that and thinking, I've never done nothing like that. So I'm just trying to say shout out to our elders. I want to just give flowers. That's really what it is. I want to start off by saying that when I say we shouldn't vote, it's not because I want to disrespect what they went through. When I say we shouldn't vote, it's not because I don't understand why, especially some of our elders, they think that voting is so important because of what it took to get that. And so I just want to again give flowers for that. And I want to come and explain it from kind of a different lens. When I say we shouldn't vote, and that's kind of what I want to go into, it's because I liken it to, because I was thinking about this, I liken it to the times of Christ, that a new day is a coming. Sometimes you can't do, so sometimes the foundation that we used before is not going to be the best foundation moving forward in the future. Also, the foundation is tainted. Voting is a tainted way. It's a tainted medium to get to a goal, okay? So what I'm saying about now, what I mean by that is, and to compare to Christ, when Yahusha came on the scene, right? Because that's what we're doing now. When Yahusha came on the scene, the Pharisees had to get used to a new way, just get used to the ways of Yahusha. They didn't want to do it. Why? Because they couldn't see that a new dawn was here, a new way was here. A deliverance was here. Yahusha is a deliverance. His presence was a deliverance. So in Yahusha's time, or Jesus, for those that don't know Jesus, the Pharisees and some of the people of that time, they couldn't see that a change was coming. They thought that the existing way it was just how it was going to be, right? So what I'm trying to say is, I believe that it's kind of the same thing now. we have to be prepared to understand that a new day is coming, and so the old way the old way may not work. It's not the best goal for moving forward. And so with that, I wanted to read a scripture. And when I read the scripture, let me see if I can find it. It is not to get, I'm going to start saying this in every video. It's not to depress nobody. It's not to send nobody into doom and gloom. Okay? That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to bring this out. Okay, so this scripture, because I'm talking about voting and how voting will not save us, right? It worked. It worked before, but I'm trying to say, like, it's a new day. Like Yahuwah is doing a new thing. And then also the foundation, I want to talk about that in the next video. The foundation of voting, it's tainted. It's a tainted system because of wicked leaders. So it's a tainted medium. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so listen to the scripture. This scripture comes out of Jasher. It comes out of Jasher. And you know, if you want to know about the our deliverance, you should read Jasher, Exodus, and then Jasher 80 and like to 83. Okay, but this is Jasher chapter 80, and it's verse I'll start at verse 36. So Jasher chapter 80, verse 36. Okay, my time. So it says, and Yah sent darkness over Egypt, so that the whole land of Egypt and Pathros became dark for 3 days, so that a man could not see his hand when he lifted it to his mouth. At that time, many of the people of Israel died who had rebelled against Yahuwah, and who would not listen to Moses and Aaron, and did not believe in them, that Yah had sent them, and who had said, and so this is what the Israelites that died said. This is what they said. We will not go out from Egypt, lest we perish with hunger in a desolate wilderness. And who would not listen to the voice of Moses? And Yahuwah plagued them in the 3 days of darkness, and the Israelites buried them in those days without the Egyptians knowing of them or rejoicing over them. Okay, pause. So much there. So listen, in the first time when a people were slaves in a land and Yahuwah was getting ready to deliver them, this is the message of how I'm tying it to voting. This is a warning message that for the future, if you're black, okay? Ultimately, the Israelites that did not want to come out of Egypt, they perished. Yahuwah did away with them. It says that these are they that didn't believe the voices of Moses, and they didn't want to leave Egypt. So what I'm saying, and so when I say that, I'm not saying you need to believe me. Let me clarify that. And if you take it up to modern times, being in the United States, these are maybe Israelites that don't want to believe the Bible. These are maybe Israelites that don't ever want to entertain the fact that we might be the Israelites. They just don't believe. These are Israelites that don't want to give Egypt back her stuff. These are Israelites that don't want to leave Egypt. So what I'm saying is we have to, voting, okay? Voting is something that belongs to Egypt, okay? We have to start preparing our mind, and I know that it's hard. I get it. Please don't think that I get it. I get that you got to understand we live in the United States. You got to understand, for the most part, while the United States has caused wars in other places, we haven't seen wars. So people really don't think this place will ever end. That's why we vote.